On this week's episode of Wines of the World, I have a really fun interview with a winemaker named Leah. Leah is from the UK, but has traveled all around Europe and made wine. She has joined me live via Skype to share with us a little bit about her travels and making wine. So yeah, I see that, so you went right away and did a harvest in France and whatnot, but here it also says Germany, Croatia, you've been to Greece, New Zealand, Italy, Slovenia, and Australia?
Yeah.
What did you do in all those countries? I know you said it was all wine related, but did you make wine in all of those countries?
I was helping with harvest in Italy. Okay. I was only there for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
That was during college. Germany, we were making our own wine. So for my own company, we started in France, and then that was in 2012. And then following harvest in 2013, we went to Germany. And then 2014, we went to Croatia.
Nice.
I wasn't completely involved in that, but I'd already worked in that winery the year before.
Oh, okay.
And Australia, I worked mainly in vineyards. That was in like 2006. That was kind of my. I went to Australia with the aim to kind of figure out if this is what I really wanted to do.
Sure. And did it help clarify a bit?
Yeah, I had my wine epiphany moment.
Did you really? Nice.
I was working in this winery restaurant, and every day I'd go to the tasting rooms and just be like, go through all the wines that they have every day. And then one day the winemaker was in there. Yeah. And my favourite wine was the Semillon that they made. This is in Margaret River.
Yeah.
And he was like holding this glass like, this is the best wine I've ever made. And I was like, I want that feeling. Like,
very cool.
Right, I'm going to be a winemaker. That's what I'm going to do.
Wow, very cool.
That was like the moment. It's the next big thing.
Yeah, I'd say the most off the beaten path place I went was Armenia.
Oh, wow, nice.
That's like the cradle of winemaking is what they call it up there.
Yeah.
So that was really cool. The wine up there is, I would say it's more raw. It's I was visiting the ancient remains of a winery up there that's over 6,000 years old in a cave system.
Wow.
And right in the village where that cave system is found, they still make wine, but it's like garage wine is what they call it because it's made in the garages of people's homes. And as you can imagine, they don't have much money, so they don't have the high-tech equipment. So what they do is they literally just press the grapes and put them in like a big concrete vat and let them ferment naturally, and then sort of just kind of bottle it and let it age. And so the wine there, I would say, is definitely more raw and as if you were to drink it 6,000 years ago. So that was really cool.
Oh, that's so great.
Especially compared to like Australian wines and French wines and German wines where they have so much control and so much winemaking equipment that
just pioneered it, didn't they?
Yeah.
With Turkey, we had a friend in Turkey who he went over there. The same person we went to France with.
Sure.
He ended up in Turkey for a while, and he was helping rejuvenate this vineyard they had with the aim for them to build a winery for him.
Oh wow!
It all fell through. But he was making wine in the 2 years he was out there, and he had no equipment at all.
Wow.
Tanks, and that was it.
Okay.
And the wine he was making I was like, oh my God, you're an amazing winemaker.
Oh, really? So all he had was tanks. He didn't have all the fancy gear to make
Literally, he was hand pressing. It was just, it was mad. But the wine was so good.
Sure.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Awesome.
So it can be done. People think you need all this technology.
Yeah.
You don't. It helps.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What would you recommend to somebody who's thinking about getting into winemaking and traveling and doing a vintage abroad that, they've never really traveled and left their comfort zone, but now they're facing the possibility of going to the opposite side of the planet by themselves? How do you kind of overcome that challenge?
Just do it. I don't know. I mean, I cried like hours before I left.
You did what?
Before I went to New Zealand, I was just in tears.
You were?
I think I was just like, it was the first time I've been on a plane on my own, going so far.
Sure.
Not the first time I've been on the plane on my own, but just going so far away.
Yeah.
And it was just adrenaline and emotion.
Yeah.
And yeah, you just go for it. Like if you're gonna regret it if you don't, basically.
Sure.
That's the
Sure.
kind of
Yeah, I
I'd
bet
like
you're
to,
happy you did it now.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And like, if all goes wrong, you just go home. Like,
There you go. Yeah.
if you can afford to get out there, you can afford to get back.
Sure.
And if you can't afford to get back, you'll figure it out. Yeah, you do.
Stick your thumb out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If you could, where's your dream place? If you could set up a winery and make wine anywhere, where would you? What's your dream location to start a winery if you could? Yeah.
So I'm quite keen to like go out to China. China is actually that's it. There we go. That's my dream place, China.
You'd like to go and do a harvest in China?
I'd like to live in China.
Live in China? Why is that?
I don't know. I just love China. I love the culture. I love the history.
So
I
have
love
you
the
been there
food.
before?
No,
Oh,
no.
okay.
Kind of building it up for
Yeah.
myself. Oh, I hope I'm not disappointed.
Hey, well,
But
one way to find out.
I know exactly. But yeah, the Chinese wine is interesting. I think it's growing and there's loads of potential. They're growing a lot of Syrah and Merlot. Cabernet and Merlot. But I've been reading people who have been there saying that Syrah would be very suitable in like a lot of the northern regions and all the kind of in terms of compatibility with the soil.
Yeah, they're definitely they're investing a lot. I heard they're investing a lot in research and like they're planting vineyards all over the place just to at least, as research to find out if this will be a good place to grow some wine. And they're really going at it pretty good, I'd say. So from my understanding now, you've started your own business. What do you do exactly?
So the company's called Birds and Bats.
Birds and Bats?
Yeah, so I'm Birds and Nick, my partner, is Bats.
Okay.
And we started that company and the wine brand called Wines of Momentary Destination.
What does that mean?
So we make one wine in one place for 1 year only. So essentially we're kind of like gypsy winemakers and we just pop up in different countries every year in a different place.
Wow.
Making a very small amount of wine.
So you go to a country and you set up shop for 1 year, make a wine there, and then you just sell the wine, and then the next harvest you go to a different country.
Yeah. So post uni, like the whole idea was just, and what was recommended is you travel as much as you can, you gain experience, like doing regular vintages in different places.
Sure.
And obviously we wanted to do that, but whilst we were in France, we were like, well, we want to make our own wine too, so how can we combine both of them together?
Yeah.
Well, if we can just buy some fruit and make a small amount of wine, it can't be that hard. Let's see if we can do it.
Sure.
And we did. So we made 700 bottles in France in the first year.
Okay.
And then Germany, we made 2,000 bottles of Riesling. And then we went to Croatia and then made another 2,000 bottles of red wine.
Wow.
And we just, it's all relationship based. So, whoever we know who can host us, and most people are pretty cool, everyone's like, yeah, that sounds all right. You can come and work for us and we'll give you a bed to sleep in. And like, it works. Either we'll get paid and pay for everything ourselves, or we will work in exchange for the wine.
Oh,
like
really? Okay.
So it's very different every time. It's exciting. It means we get to do whatever we want, and we design all the labels ourselves.
Okay.
It's going all right.
So I was going to say, how does that work then if you travel to a country to make wine, but you don't have any wine making equipment, but you team up sort of with a winery, established winery, and then you just kind of work or buy their fruit, or work for or buy their fruit, and then make the wine in your style and bottle it under your label. I want to leave off with one question I ask everybody at the end, and that's if you could have one bottle of wine from history, any bottle throughout history or even current day, any wine, and if you could drink it with any person that's living or dead, what wine would you drink and who would you drink it with?
I didn't think this one through enough.
Off the top of your head, what would you think?
The person that sprung to mind was Ernest Hemingway.
Okay.
Because he seemed like a really good person to get drunk with.
And what would you drink with him?
It would be a really excellent bottle of vintage champagne.
A nice champagne, you said?
Yeah,
Or-
champagne is my favorite. I
Okay.
keep like pretending it's not, but it is. I just can't. Every time yeah, it's just delicious.
Yeah. What about
Uh,
having one of the bottles that they found on the bottom of bottom of the ocean?
Yeah, I was reading a lot about that. I've
Yeah.
been trying to find someone, if anyone's done any research, because now all of a sudden everybody's aging wine under the water.
Under the water, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the research paper to come out to actually prove if that's what it actually does.
Yeah.
I'm very science focused on stuff like that. Like,
Sure.
it's all very well to say, oh, it makes a difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but, is that just your perception because you like to think it's making a difference? Like, what scientifically is it doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I'd love to try that wine.
That'd be cool, right? Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
Nice.
well, definitely. All champagne from history.
Yeah. There you go. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, very cool. Well, thanks for joining the show today.
All right.
Appreciate you coming
Yeah.
on. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Wines of the World. Make sure you check in next week as I will be interviewing another winemaker. If you have any questions that you would like me to ask a winemaker during any of my interviews, just reach out to me through my social media accounts, which you can find on my website, winesoftheworld.info. Be sure to check my website tomorrow and every single day of this week, as I will be releasing some really fun, interesting wine stories. Thank you, and please be sure to subscribe.